I'm not talking. How about now? How about now? All right, hello again, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. No, so we're doing this series called God on Film, and can you turn down just a little bit? You were trying to figure out what's wrong. Is something wrong? It was me. I was wrong. And but this movie is not out yet, and so I was not able to get the legal licensed. We could show it, but we are going to talk a little bit about it. And for some of you may not have seen this movie, you may not have cable, you may not have heard anything about it. So we're going to do a preview of it. So the version that I was able to show you, which is the preview, but it kind of gives you the mindset. It leaves a little bit out of the story, but we're going to talk a little bit about this. And really, I want you to just kind of just mentally kind of shift into Guardians of the Galaxy mode. Here's that preview.
Hope you're ready. It'll be here any minute. Is that a rifle?
You don't know what a rifle looks like?
It's just swords were your thing and guns were mine. But I guess we're both doing guns now. I just didn't know that.
Well, that's intense.
I see it within you. Fear, jealousy, betrayal. It is our duty to cleanse the universe of this weakness.
You know, they told me you people were conceited, but that isn't true at all.
Dude!
I'm using my wrong eye.
Groot, put your seatbelt on! So we're saving the galaxy again? Yep. Awesome! We're really gonna be able to jack up our price if we're two-time galaxy savers.
Yes!
Sometimes the thing you're searching for your whole life, it's right there by your side all along.
You're right,
All you do is yell at each other. You're not friends.
No, we're family. Except maybe her.
So I got to tell you, not a God movie. You got to know that. It's pure fantasy. So as you're watching it, but there are lots of things. Talks a lot about family. Talks a lot. One of the things the key line that's part of this, if you saw it and you would listen to it, he says, the thing that you've been searching for your whole life sometimes has been right next to you the whole time. Man, isn't that so true? The thing you've been searching for your whole life, sometimes it's been right next to you the whole time. That's how our relationship with God a lot of time. Our relationship that we've been seeking, that we've been pursuing the whole time, he's just been right there all along, and we just haven't really looked right next to us. Now, one of the things that when you're watching this, one of the things that you didn't see, and that as you were going through, they didn't talk a whole lot about the plot of this movie, is that he meets his father. And as he meets his father, there's this fear. When he initially meets him, he says, hey, I want you to come with me. I want to show you this. I want to be the father that you've never had and that you've never known. And so what happens is that he has to make this decision. He goes, what if? What if I go with him? What if I do this? And so a lot of us, that holds us back. The what if stops us. The what if is the thing that we battle with. And really, it's not the what if that we battle with, it's the fear that's attached to the what if. And see, all of us in here have battled with fear at some point. Each one of us has battled with fear. Now, I'll give you a story. Yesterday, we took a group of us to Great America. We got 19 people at Great America, and as we go out, we go on some rides, we go on different things. And see, here's kind of the problem. When you get to my size, they stop making rides for this stature, okay? They just, and it's not, and so I tell you is that it's not that I can suck it in pretty good. I can get skinny. So that's not the problem. The problem is that I'm tall, the thing just won't come over here. This is all where I'm too big. You know, I got some of the problem that women have. I'm too big up here on top. And it hurts my back. I'm telling you, I got to go. Anyway, is that, so sometimes they got to try and shove me into a ride. You know, it's like they put on, I get into the thing, they try and sit there, they go, come on, we got a big one over here. Get a couple people and shove this thing down. Well, I got on one ride yesterday, and if you've ever been to Great America, it's called the Demon. I got and there was nobody to shove it down on me. I don't think it could have went any further down. I didn't hear it go click. You know, you ever get on it, there's that kind of that comfort level where it goes click, click. You know, you're like, oh, I'm in. I'm good. You know, there's a trust in the click. It's like, click, oh, it's not going anywhere. Well, I didn't hear that. And so, and it was sticking out still, right? You know, the thing's supposed to come down over you. It was still pointing forward. I go, I could literally put my lunch underneath the restraint that would hold me in. Hey guys, I got plenty of room here. So now mind you, this thing, the first thing it does, it goes up and then drops into 2 loop-de-loops, right? You know, it's going doo-doo, and then you're, hey, let's get the show on. Well, for me, I didn't feel it strap in, and all I had was this nice little nylon seat belt that holding the thing down. And so like the whole time we're getting ready to leave, and I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that goes, hey, can you let me out? I don't think I fit into this ride. Please get me off. And so I'm pushing up against it. I'm like, man, this is whole. I'm like trying to expand myself, make myself even larger to make sure it doesn't move. And obviously, it won't go down any further. And so as we start going, I tell them, I go, guys, I just want to let you all know, I don't think I'm strapped in. You know, I just want to let you know is that I'm giving it all to God right now because I might fall out right after this first loop. And so to me, as we start heading off, it finally dispatches. We start going up, and I go, God, please. And it wasn't even like I was afraid of dying. I just go, God, if I'm coming to see you, I want to make sure that I'm right with you. Please forgive everything. I don't know. I know that I'm doing your work, but man. And so we get up to the top, and it gets ready to go for the drop, and I go, and I've never held onto the restraints so tight. I'm sure if they took photos on this one, it would have been me in absolute terror. And so we go in, and so we go through the first loop, and I survive that. We go to the next loop, and I survive that, and it goes through, and we get to the end where it goes through the double corkscrew, and that's when I was actually most terrified. I figured that the centrifugal force of the loop would keep me in the seat, but the corkscrew, that's when you get tossed out. And I said, man, here comes the end right now, and the end didn't come. And what happened is at the end of the ride, before it came to a complete stop, I unbuckled, right? You know, we were at the point where if they would have sent it again, I would have been in trouble. But it got to the point where it came to the end, and I unbuckled, and I realized that the strap, it did click. It did hold me in. And when I told them I can't use the language I used. It wasn't bad language, but it wasn't good language either. So I can't use that language up here, but I will tell you is that I said, and not so much, I said, I think I need to go change myself now. Because that's how much fear that I had over nothing, right? You know, see what happens is we end up with fear of unknowns that we just don't know really what's going on. We end up with this fear. We're going, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where I'm going to be at. I don't know what's going to happen here. See, for each one of us, we all have something that's happening on those, and that same type of thing. Think about this as a child, maybe as an adult. Storm clouds come in. It starts to rain. It gets a little darker, and all of a sudden, you start going, man, it's really bad out there. And then the kids are like, yeah, it's horrible. What are we going to do? And then all of a sudden, thunder happens. And the kids scatter like roaches, and they end up under the table. Another one's in a closet. I mean, it's not just kids. My wife does that too. She goes, what's that? Is that gunfire? No, it's just lightning, baby. Just lightning. It's fear, right? It's like, did it hit our house? No, we're in shelter, baby. It's good. Even if it did, we're grounded. We're fine. Don't worry. You're not going to die inside the house when it's raining. But that's how we get. Or, like, sometimes you see a teenager worried about their parents' marriage. You know, and you see that happen. Well, actually, they don't show it the way that we where that we think that it would be a healthy expression of that. We see people that show it. They're like, they see us argue, they see us fight, and they go, are my parents going to split up? What's going on? Or they see us disconnected? And I'll tell you is if you're married and you have children, they should know that you love your spouse so much that you should over-reflection in them. Make them go, ooh, make them do that often. So they don't ever have to question it. Don't let them walk on you doing other things, but make them go, ew, you guys are gross. Some of us, we have this fear and we agonize over losing our job. We're like, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? What's going to go on? And we agonize. It tears us up. Some of us are worried about health issues. You know, and as you looked at this movie, if you watch this movie, as you go through it, he's agonizing over having a relationship with his father. Some of us, that happens. There's these life's most common fears. Some of us, it's loss. Losing a spouse, marriage, children, it's loss. Others, we have this failure. We feel that we'll be inadequate. We never measure up. We can't keep up financially with others. We're spiritually inadequate. Those are all the things that we fear. Those are just common rejection. You see this often with little kids. You know, if you ever participated, being on the yard where, you know, you're out playing and the kids have to divide up into teams and they pick two captains, which are always the two popular kids. And then they go through and they pick their friends. And then you're left with 2 or 3 kids that they always feel, why didn't I get picked? Why do I feel left out? They just feel inadequate, and they feel that they'll never actually grow. And it's actually a form of rejection. They just go, I'm left out again. You know, we see it as adults. We kind of throw it upon ourselves. I'm never going to get married. You know, or if my marriage doesn't make it, it's not going to be. It's not like so and so who made it through 50 years, whatever. Or it's the unknown. We have this fear of the unknown. Health. I don't know what's going to happen with my health. I don't know what's going to happen with my job. I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm stuck in this abusive relationship. I don't know if this is good. I don't know if it's bad. It's just whatever it is. See, the problem is those are all things that were never really given to you by God. Those are all fears that we brought onto ourselves. It's quite clear in 2 Timothy 1:7. It says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. Where does that fear come from? That fear comes from, I'll just tell you where that fear comes from. My son, a little daredevil, okay? He is. He'll just do anything. He doesn't worry about the fear to the repercussions until actually it happens. You know, it's like that. He forgot the logic of jumping off the stairs or doing this. And so what he likes to do is he likes to climb up the outside of the stairs. So not on the inside of the railing he'd climb up the outside. He'd be like, hey, check me out. And the first thing Melissa would do, stop, oh my God, get down. You're going to get hurt. Or he gets on the coffee table and he jumps off the coffee table. Stop, you're going to get hurt. We've done that in almost every area of our life. We've gotten to this point where we've made finances a priority. We've done this and things to where we've created, if I don't have this, I'm not successful. If I don't have these things, I'm not successful. If I don't have this. And so we have this spirit of fear of being without what everybody else has, this spirit of fear of not keeping up with the Joneses, this spirit of fear of not having enough friends. That's actually the right fear, is that not having enough people in your life, relationships. Friends, and friends has been redefined by Facebook. Facebook redefined it. We call friends, some people I just went through and did a random survey and they got 700, 800 friends, but don't actually have any real friends, any relationships. You have 700 acquaintances. People you ran into each other. I said, that person looks familiar. We walked down the street next to each other. They're my Facebook friend now. Instead of actually having real friends. See, the thing is, fear is not from God. And really, we've gotten to this point where it's kind of common for us not to accept what's from God. We've gotten to this point where we've kind of accepting things that's not from God. We're like, hey, let's just take this on. See, some people say fear is opposed to faith. I have faith in God, but see, the thing is that fear is not having a lack of faith. It's having a faith in the wrong things. Fear is faith in the wrong things, is what it is. It's not having faith. It's placing faith in the wrong things. And I want to tell you is that I know that some of you guys are kind of gripped with worry today. It just kind of happens. Some people I talk to, and it's always what this could possibly happen, this could go on, and so some of you hear that just like that right now. But what I want you to know God delivered you here today for that reason. God brought you here to hear this. He wants you to hear his truth from his word. See, he brought you in for you to be able to hear. And I know that sometimes we get thrown off of our track. We go, okay, well, I'm doing this series a little earlier than I wanted to do, and so now I got thrown off from being able to show the clips that I wanted to show. But maybe I needed this exact thing to be able to really speak to you and go, look, this is what we really need to be talking about. Because fear is holding us back so much. Fear holds us back from his presence. It prevents us from actually hearing and knowing what he wants us to do. And really, he wants us to be set free from that fear and that blockage that's preventing us from doing whatever he's asked us to do. Let me go back to this. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of sound mind. But yet we're afraid all the time. We retreat and we stop doing what he's asked us to do because we're afraid that it may take us in a direction different than, I don't know. See, if God is going to give us the power to overcome fear, if he's going to take us we have to start by defining it. And the reason why we have to define it is because you can't defeat something you can't define. You know, if it's just the unknown, if it's fear of the unknown, you can't define it. That's where the problem is. So, fear is placing your faith in the what ifs. Now, think about this. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this person does this? What if this happens? Those are things that's not from God. But that's how we end up going, is that we have this fear of going, we're going to keep putting this in there. Fear is placing your faith in the what ifs. See, this is exactly what Moses did. See, Moses is called to go do something, and Moses comes out and goes, what if they don't believe me or listen to me? What if they say, the Lord didn't appear to you? What if? What do you say then? What do you come up? Instead of placing our faith in God's promise, we placed our faith in the what if. That's what Moses placed his faith in. What if they don't listen to me? What if? What if? What if? Yeah, there's a song, it's a country song, and I don't really listen to country all that often. But it's about a guy, and it's called What If, and it's about this guy in a relationship with this girl, and she goes, and he's going, what if this happens? What if I leave? What are you placing your faith in me, or are you placing your faith in this relationship? And so he also comes out and he goes, what if this is the best thing that's supposed to happen to you? What if we were made for one another? The what ifs can go in the opposite direction as well. What if God actually wants you to go through this road so that you can actually help reach others? What if God wants you to struggle where you're at so that way you can help others prevent that? A lot of times we don't look at it that way. We go, what happens if the economy drops? I'm going to be homeless. What happens if I lose my health? What happens? What if I lose my job? What if my spouse cheats? What if? What if? What if? What happens if you marry a jerk? Look, ask my wife. What happens? Don't amen. Don't. Why do your what ifs matter? Your what if reveals the fear. Let me change this back. Your what if, what you fear the most is what you will value the most. So what you fear the most is what you value the most. What does that mean? If you fear your spouse is going to leave, then you're going to value your marriage. You'll go through and you'll start going through and you're making those commitments to that. What if you're worried something's going to happen to your children? You feel you have a strong value of your child. What if you're going, I can't pay the bills, and you actually have a strong value of financial security? And that's kind of what a lot of us are at. Those are kind of our biggest things: is relationships, financial security, and really our children. Those are our big what ifs. For you, if you start going through and you start looking at it and go, what if? What if? What you fear the most reveals where you trust God the least. So let that sink in for a second. Go back to these two things. What you fear the most reveals what you value the most, and what you fear the most reveals where you trust God the least. I mean, if you're afraid of losing your marriage, you don't trust God in your marriage, which probably means that you haven't been doing what he asked you to do biblically. If you fear that means you haven't been probably reading the Bible and going, this is how I'm supposed to treat my spouse. If you fear something happening to your child, then you don't trust God with your children. And that's just how it is. If you fear and if you're terrified of not having enough, then you're not trusting God for provision. You're not trusting him to be your provider. I encourage you to truthfully and to take that assessment and go, what is it that I'm holding back because I'm not trusting God to take care of it? I'm not trusting him to be in charge here. I'm not trusting him to do this. And I'm telling you to truthfully go through this, because a lot of times we don't. A lot of times we don't truthfully answer this question. What is it that I'm not trusting God with? Acknowledge the fear and the faith that you put in whatever that what if is that's prevented you from actually having your faith in God. What is it? In your notes, I gave you a blank to put it in and go, what is that fear? What is it? Name it. I'm not trusting God with, what is it? Is it your children, our future, my health, someone I love, my parents aging, the future? What is it? What is it that you're not trusting God with? And what's it holding you back from actually doing? And I want you to take a moment and name it. I already told you, the reason why I've asked you to do this is because what you can't name and what you can't define, you can't defeat. You have to know what this is. What is it? Now, here's what I don't usually tell you to tell people around you, but I want you to tell the person next to you. And it can't, I know most of you sitting next to your spouse, and sometimes your spouse will help you get through this, but what is it, whatever fear that is, what's holding you back? What is it that you're going through, and talk about it for a second here. What is it that you wrote down? Now, if you don't want to talk about it, you can make something up. You can go, whatever it is. I get it, but what I want to encourage you to do, the Bible says very clearly is that it takes one another to give us strength. It takes us to confess our sins to one another. And each one of us help ease the burden. Acts talks about nobody had a burden because they actually depended upon one another. So talk about it for a second. What is it? Don't be afraid. Go ahead. Say something. Don't make me look like a fool right now. Oh, yeah? Cool. You guys are doing great. You guys are doing so great here. No, I'm serious. What is it that you're not trusting with? Your God, your children, our future, the future? What is it? And as you're talking, see now what you've realized, that each one of you need a small group. You should be in part of it. As you get chatty, you should be in a small group now. See? You started talking. Anyway. Let's get practical now. How will God help us overcome those fears? How does that work? So, we just talked about this. Acknowledge your fear and choose to trust God anyway. That's what we need to do. Overcoming your deepest fear, acknowledge your fear, and choose to trust God anyway. So, let's go back to my little ride. So, as we're going through, at some point you start to go, God, you're in control. If this is the end, and what I said in first service is that I got to this point where I realized, God, you didn't bring me to Great America today to leave me here at Great America. You brought me here for a purpose, and this is not the end for me. I know that. And as you start going through this, God didn't deliver you to where you're at right now for this to be the end of the journey. He's got work for you. He's got something for you to do. You need to do something. But you need to acknowledge the fear and choose to trust him. That whatever his plan is for you, where are you going? What are you supposed to be doing? That doesn't mean that we go off and do something to where we're like, I'm going to go skydiving without a parachute. That doesn't work out well. It just doesn't. But you can say this, I've done everything that you've asked me to do. Now I'm moving in the direction you've asked me to go. So we don't do that, though. We go, I've got this. I can carry this. I can do it on my own. I wrote in my notes, it said, in other words, you aren't going to close your eyes, put your fingers in your ears, and say over again, this isn't happening to me. I wanted to do that so bad on this ride. So bad. I wanted to, please get me off. Please get me off. Please. This is not going on. But that's not how it's going to happen. In our lives, we're going to have this stuff. We're going to be nervous about things that are going to happen. We are. But we have to trust that God is in control and that he's doing it. And a lot of times we're worried about things that are out of our control. A lot of times we're worried about stuff that we have no control of. We have nothing that we can do about it. And what are we doing? David in the Old Testament, he's being pursued. This is before he's king. This is before anything. He's being pursued. And Saul was jealous of him. Saul looks at him and he goes, I don't know why he's getting all the attention. I don't know what's going on here. And he was tired of David. And he goes, I'm going to kill him. I'm just, and he had that type of power. It's over. David, you're on it. And I know that some of you guys think of that way about other people too. You're like, done with you. I'll just have you offed. Saul had the power to do that though. Saul was like, I got this. And David's terrified. David's going, I'm nervous, and he goes on the run. But while he goes on the run, he still chooses to put his faith in God. This is what he says in Psalm 56. He says, in God, whose word I praise, in God I trust, and I am not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? So if you have your Bible, or maybe you're following along on the app or whatever, highlight that. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust, and I'm not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? So that's a big question. What can mere mortals do to me? Look at it. And in this case, they can kill him. Right? But see, we continue to live in this earthly type mindset. We go, I've got to, and I know that that's kind of what's natural for us. We live in this earthly mindset where we go, I've got to have stuff, people can kill me. Well, David was thinking in an eternal mindset. He goes, if that does happen, I get to go and spend eternity with God. I get to go there. And we don't look at it that way. We get terrified of that. Guys, I'll tell you, a couple nights ago, and it happens, and it's happened in the past, is that anybody in here, you know what heart palpitations are? Well, I get them a lot. I do. I had to go to the cardiologist and have them tell me, no, Mike, your heart's not coming out of your chest. Your blood pressure's a little high. You got your pulse is normal. I go, so what causes that? What's going on? And it says it's stress. And he said that's the biggest thing for it. It's stress. And I said, man, I must be really stressed because I have them all the time. But a lot of times, you know how I go to sleep? Because that's usually when I feel them, is when I'm getting ready to lay down and go to bed. I lay there and I go, and I just pray to God. I go, God, if this really is a heart attack and if this is the end, then I'm thankful that I did your work and I go to sleep peacefully. I get to come home to you. I think eternally. And I go, and I'm right at peace. I just know. I go, God, and I wake up in the morning and I wake up and everything, and literally I go, God, thank you for today. I don't know what you want me to do, but I'm going to do it for you today. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to seek you, and I'm going to seek what you've asked for me to do. And it's a whole different direction. It's a whole different feeling to get up in the morning going, I know that I'm doing what God has asked me to do because he gave me that peace last night to where I didn't toss and turn and go, oh my God, I'm dying. My wife's going to hate me for this. 11 years ago or something like that, my wife and I we were newly dating, and she went to Myrtle Beach, and I get this phone call at 11 o'clock at night or something like that, and it's not Melissa calling, it's her cousin, and she calls and she goes, you need to talk to this girl. I go, what are you talking about? She's over here in tears, talking about she's dying, that her heart's getting ready. She doesn't know what's going on. What's going on? And so I get on the phone with her. She goes, my chest feels like it's going to explode. She was all over the place, right? Everywhere. And she goes, and then as we talked, her cousin gets back on the phone. She goes, I don't know what you said, but things are better. And see, what happens is sometimes where we find comfort at, she found comfort at that time in just being able to talk to me. But a lot of times we're supposed to be finding comfort in God. We're supposed to be going in that direction. The only reason why I bring this up is because sometimes we need to be seeking him. See, a lot of times my wife will tell you is that she thinks of me as her protector, and I am her protector. That nothing will happen to her. I tell you right now, is if something was to happen to her, it'd be very bad in this place. It just would be, like one of you to get up and go, I'm going to go beat up on your wife, and just know that it's going to be bad. And so she knows that. And so when she was going through pain and she was going through any of that stuff, she thought, I'm going to call my protector. Well, and see, for me, I want us to have this shift in focus to call our protector in heaven. That he will come down and any of those things that is going on, he takes that away, but we just don't. And that's what David was doing. David was thinking eternally. He's going, I'm calling my protector. He's going to take, and really his answer is, my God is on the throne, and his will shall be done. He had this shift to an eternal one. Seek God until he takes away your fears. Seek God until he takes away your fears. That's what David did. The man who truly had a lot to fear on earth chose to pursue God. God removed his fears. And this is what he writes in Psalm 34. He says, I sought the Lord and he answered me. He delivered me from all of my fears. He delivered me from all of my fears. He delivered me from all of my fears. I'll tell you is that each one of us have asked for God to deliver us from something. To take us away, to go, God, deliver me from this. And see, the problem has been a lot of times is that we've asked and then not continued to pursue after it. See, we go, God, take this away. And then we go, God, well, since you're not doing it, I'm going to do it myself. God, help me get through this. And since he doesn't do it in your time, that he goes, I got to pick up the bag and I got to carry it. And we think that we're actually going to be able to solve the issue, and a lot of times we're not. We tend to try and pick up and do God's job, and we ask one time, but see, really, we forget that God's timing is not our timing, right? God's timing is not our timing. So you asked for something, and I told some of you guys a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago or something like that, to keep a prayer journal, to start writing down just even the smallest prayers, just start keeping a prayer journal, and just see how often God actually answers your prayers. How many times has you prayed for something, never asked for it again, but he answered? And maybe he didn't answer instantly. You know, I'm telling you right now, you got to get this mindset away from God's being a cosmic Coke machine. It's not like you walk up to the machine, you put $1 in, and he delivers a Coke instantly. It's not. That's not how it works. See, when you ask God, he starts working on it. And see, sometimes you're not prepared for him to deliver the rain yet. You're not prepared for him to give you an answer. You're not prepared for him to say the yes. Elisha, the king goes, we need water. And Elisha goes, start digging holes. And the king goes, why are we going to dig holes? We don't have any place. We don't have any water. Why are we going to go out and do manual labor? You have to be prepared for what God's going to deliver. And so sometimes the prophet tells you, go dig some holes so that you have a place to store the water. See, some of you, you're going, God, give me $1 million. You don't know how to spend $1 million. You don't know what to do with it. God, give me this good job. You don't know how to handle the good job because you can't handle the crappy job that you have. You got a crappy job, and God's going, why am I going to give you a good one? You can't actually give 100% at this crappy Friplet Burgers job. You're going, no, I'll give 100%, you give me this. Well, God goes, well, you haven't proved that. You haven't shown that. If I'm going to trust you with a little, and you're not going to work with that, how could I ever trust you with a lot? How could I ever give you more? And see, that's what we go. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. And David goes, and he delivered me from all my fears, but we hold back. We stop seeking him. We stop. Yeah. I'll give you one more little story. We started a church. Melissa and I got this crazy idea with a group of people. And we said, hey, let's put this together. And this is in February that we got this plan. And in March, we were already full swing into this. And this is 2011. And so we're like, hey, let's do this. And so we start doing this, and we get to this point where our first Sunday is January 8th. And we decided January 8th because we couldn't do January 1st because we figured everybody would be out partying the night before. And we said, hey, our intent is to reach people that were out partying the night before. So we better do it the week after. And so we started on January 8th. was our first official time. We did some preview services and stuff, but this is our first really official service, we said. And it was 12 of us. And I know I tell you that a lot, is that it was just 12 of us that came together for this first service. But see, here's the thing is that God knew that I wasn't ready for more. He knew that. And I had told them, hey, put out 200 chairs. And he said, really, 200? I said, yeah, and it better have some in the back because we're going to need more. We're going to need more. I just, and in fact, you know, while we were at that building, we never grew anywhere greater than 40 or 50 people. And that included kids, and we were counting cockroaches and everything. We're like, oh, there's one there, two. They heard the message, count that too. And so when you started, you know, we got to this point where and see, the thing is that I was ready for 12, and then I got ready for 30, and then I started getting ready for 100, and then I couldn't pastor a church of 200 day one. I was nowhere near equipped, and so God started equipping me. But the thing was, I didn't give up because I really wanted to. I'll tell you. We walked away from that. Melissa goes, well, how'd you think that go? I go, that sucked. She goes, well, what do you mean? I go, those are great numbers. And she looked at it and she goes, did you forget something? I go, oh, God. She gets mad when I God talk her. She goes, don't Bible talk me. And so then I got Bible talked. She goes, doesn't the Bible say where two or more are gathered? I go, I love you so much right now. And you see that, and that's what happens is that we tend to go, I expect this. And when God still delivers, right? Because God delivered, he just didn't deliver what I thought he should have delivered. What I thought. Not what he thought, not what he knew that I could handle, but what I thought that I could, because I've shown over and over again that I could handle everything, right? I've shown that I've been so amazing with everything that, God, you were just going to deliver 200 people, and I was going to be perfect, and I was going to be the absolute best pastor ever, and people would just know that I loved them, and that God loved them, and that I could, guys, I went back and I started watching some of those services, and I go, how did those 12 even stay in the room? I don't understand. I'm almost to the point now where we should delete any video archive of that time period. In fact, we don't, because it's a consistent reminder of how far that God has delivered me. How far he's taken me from where I was that first time to now. I have people all the time that showed up at the other service and they show up now and they go, that's not the same dude. It is. It's just that I continued to seek the Lord. I just continue to pursue him, and he just continues to groom me and gets me ready for that. Now, do I still make mistakes? Absolutely, but I go and seek him for it. I go and go, what am I supposed to be doing? What do you have me to do? Because I would have gave up so easily then. I would have been like, I'm out. This isn't working out. But here we are, 6.5 years later, and we've grown. And we've grown, and we've grown, and then we had a flood, and we shrunk, and then we've grown, and then, but it's amazing on how faithful God has been on helping us get to from where we were to where we're at now by just pursuing him and going, God. Guys, I will tell you, there's been times where we've gone, how are we going to pay the rent this month for this building? And God delivers. God, how are we going to do this? And he delivers. There's so often that we go, God, I don't know how we're going to make it. How we're going to make payroll. How we're going to do these things. And God always comes through. It's when we take it out of his hands and we go, it's going to be me. That's when we fail catastrophically. And so here's my question. What is it that you're holding on to? Because there's this what if that's preventing you from actually doing what God has asked you, what he's wanted you to do. He's asked you to do something. But you've been holding on to it. You've been like, oh, what if this happens? He goes, I want you to start a small group. But what happens if people don't sign up? Well, guess what? You go out and you continue to pursue them. He asked you to start a small group. Maybe you picked the wrong topic. Maybe you said, hey, I'm not going to do this or that. What you have to do is you have to look back, go back to the drawing board and go, God, you've asked me to do this. Let me seek you and find out where you're leading me. Where am I supposed to be going? Maybe God's asked you to be on the worship team. And you go, I'm not a great drummer. Well, okay. Well, maybe you're not supposed to be playing drums. Maybe God's asked you to do something, and you're going, maybe God says, I want you to be doing this. I want you to be giving. I want you to be in a small group. Well, I'm not going to have time to go drinking with my buddies. Small groups are 90 minutes. You'll have all the time still after that, but you'll actually have relationships with people who want to help you grow. Not people who are trying to tear you down because you've been out partying with them in the bars. I'm just telling you is that you've been pursuing the wrong things because of the what if. What happens if they don't like me anymore? They probably really didn't like you to begin with then. If you tell somebody, I'm going to church and I can't make it to that, and they go, well, you suck, that's somebody you shouldn't have in your life anyway. That's just somebody you should be like, well, where do I mail your stuff to? Because and see, that's the problem is that we go, what happens if I lose my friends? They weren't your friends then. They just weren't. What happens if God sends me to wherever? Well, then that's where God sends you to. You should embrace that and go. What happens if God asked you to start a church in the town where you thought that you'd never be able to reach anybody? Well, you do it. And then you reach people. And you fight against all adversity. You fight against people who talk about you. Guys, at the end of the service, somebody will talk about me. Tomorrow morning, somebody will talk about me. But I'll tell you is that Paul even said it. Paul said, as long as they're talking about you and they're also talking about Jesus, then the word is being preached. The word is being preached. It is growing. You are reaching people. I am doing what he asked me to do. See what I love that I'm going to get to go to heaven one day, and he's going to look at me and he's going to go, well done, good and faithful servant. I love that I know I get to hear that because I've been obedient. I've done everything, and it's been ridiculous faith. And I love how he's answered. Because guys, here's the thing. I give a little bit of testimony here. Nobody would ever thought that I would be where I was at. As a kid, I was a little hellion. Just was. And I went into my high school years a little hellion. I've worn the matching bracelets, the ones that you can't move from. I've worn those. I know what they look like. I've had this experience to being able to talk to people from both sides of the bar. I've been a bartender. I've been an alcohol recipient. And I look at this and I go, when I started pursuing God, every one of those temptations, everything that went away. When I said, God, you're in control. God, take all of this. Every little thing went away. People that I run into, I literally was in Safeway a couple years ago, and I ran into somebody that I hung out with fairly regular. And he goes, what are you doing for a living? I said, I'm a pastor at church. And he said, no. What are you really doing for a living? I said, I just told you. He said, well, maybe I need to check this church thing out, because if God can do that to you, then imagine what he can do through. See, the thing was, I let God be in control. I let him take over. See, most of the time, we don't let God take over. We like the idea of God. We like the idea of Jesus. We do not like the idea of him being in complete control of our lives. We do not like the idea of going, I'm going to be obedient. That word scares us. We hear obedience and we're like, I'm not a dog. But or we'll go, I'll listen to some point. Instead of going, I give complete surrender. God, you're in control. You guide. You lead me. And I'll tell you is that I have had some of the best times of my life since doing this, since surrendering. And by that, I will tell you is that when Melissa and I got married, we got married in church, but I wasn't in church. And so once we got in church, our relationship changed so drastically. It became about living for him together. See, and a lot of times we don't do that. A lot of times we get to this point, we go, okay, let's get all the stuff we can, and then we'll start living for him. Really, at that point, Melissa and I had nothing. When we made this decision to go, okay, we're going to live for God, we had nothing. No job. We may have had a car. We had zero. No place to go, no nothing. Within days, new jobs, cars, within a couple weeks, a place to live. And it wasn't that, we can say, oh, Mike, you had to turn the luck. No, we surrendered. And we go, God, you're in control, and you just lead us. You'll have us do what you will do with us. And now we come to this period 10 years later, 11 years later, that not only do we get to do the job that we want to do, we love doing this. I can't imagine doing anything different. You know, sometimes people go, well, I'm going to go do this. I can't imagine ever doing anything differently than what I do. This is the greatest job in the world. It's not for everybody, but it's the greatest job in the world. But not only do I get to do this, but God has provided overwhelmingly for us. Guys, we have a home, and I've shared what our house payment is because, you know, I know that I'll offend some of you guys. It just might as well. Our house payment, we live in a 1,700 square foot home. Our house payment's $780 a month. That's what our house payment is. And I know some of you guys are going, man, that's not rent. I would never, I wouldn't trade it. Some of you guys are renting a single bedroom for more than that. And I just tell you is that God has blessed us. We have our vehicles. God has blessed us. And we continue to go. We're just going to be faithful. We're just going to do, and there's been times where we haven't taken a paycheck here because the church hasn't been able to afford to pay for us. And yet, we still have enough to be able to pay for groceries. We still have enough to be able to put food on the table. We pay gas, all those things because we gave it up. Instead of holding on to the fear, what if? My fear now is, what if I don't do this? What if I don't do what God's asked me to? Because if I don't do it, does he take all of that back? All of a sudden, do I end up losing everything that he's provided to me? Everything that he's been faithful with and going, here, I'm going to give you this. And guys, I will tell you is that God has given so much. And all through this, I have a beautiful family. My house needs some work, but I have shelter. I have amazing people in my life. Each one of you guys. I get to talk with you. I get to have this relationship with you. I get to go to Great America with you. I get to go to the water slides with you. I get to go on a women's beach trip next week. It's the women's beach trip. And Mike, Will, I feel your pain, buddy. I do. But those are all things that happened because I was obedient. Because I just said, man, I'm going to do what you asked me to do. The verse speaks so clearly to me. I sought the Lord and he answered me. I sought him and he answered me and he delivered me from all my fears. It's just amazing to be able to look and go, God, you are so amazing. What is it that you can't do? What is it that you keep trying to hold back and go, I got this, God. I can do this. Because I'm just going to give you the line. And how's that working out for you? It's difficult. I'm telling you, trust him. Give those fears up. Let him be in control. And you'll find you'll have no greater joy, no greater peace, and the what ifs just melt away. Let's pray. Father, thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for just delivering each one of us from where we were, and even on the road that you've got some of us on, this direction that you're taking us. And some of us were lost, and some of us were still trying to figure this out, or we're even still trying to come to know you. But God, we know that just because it consistently shown us that if we place our faith in you, that you will deliver us, that you will take away the fears, that you will bring us closer to you, and that you will use us and give us purpose and deliver us into the direction that you want us to go. And then we get to think of you, and we get to be with you for eternity. Not just this time that we have here on earth, but eternity with you. Father, your word says that this life is just but a breath. Eternity with you is paradise. And so I know that it's so hard to give up on all the earthly desires, but Father, we're asking to guide us closer to you, to where these things just shed away. That you take away the temptations, you take away the desire, that you just the only desire that we have is to pursue you. to do your will. It's amazing that when we're doing that, everything else seems to fall in place. And when we're pursuing what your word says, that our relationships are in order, that our love for one another is amazing, that we stop being so argumentative over such trivial things, that it's just about helping one another grow, helping one another get from where we're at now to exactly where you want us to be. Father, it's so thankful that we get this chance today to be able to make the adjustments, to make the changes, to move forward with you, to move in this newfound direction that you have for us, to get rid of the what if, to get rid of the fear, and just know that you're in control and that you're our provider. Father, thank you. It's in your Son, Jesus' name, that we pray. Amen.